If you apply to an elite Ivy League university right now, um, your chances of getting in are what, like maybe 3 or 4%?
Yeah, somewhere around there, it's tough.
Right, and you're competing against the best of the best for a very limited number of spots. But imagine an acceptance rate of 0.2%, zero point 0.2.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around that number.
You'd think we're talking about, I don't know, an ultra-exclusive secret society or like a highly classified space program, but we're not. We are actually talking about access to basic educational funding.
It's a staggering statistic, really. I mean, 4,472 young people applied for a scholarship, and exactly 9 were selected.
9 out of over 4,000.
Exactly. And when you see a number like that, it just completely reframes how we have to think about the friction between ambition and opportunity.
It really puts things into perspective. Well, welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are looking at the Liberty Career Academy, or LCA, and specifically, we're pouring through their 2025 annual report.
Yeah, and for those who might not be familiar, LCA is this grassroots educational and career development engine based in Nigeria.
Right, and they are staring down this massive, urgent need for basic funding and career readiness, and they're doing something incredibly fascinating about it. Today's journey is all about you, the listener, understanding the sheer scale of what's happening on the ground there.
Which is a lot, as we'll see.
Oh, definitely. We're going to unpack LCA's growth over the past year. We're going to explore the actual human stories and the mechanics behind their impact, examine the global community they've built, and show you how you can actively fuel this kind of highly efficient machine.
And that efficiency is really the core of the story here. Because when you see numbers like a 0.2% acceptance rate, it is very easy to feel completely overwhelmed by the deficit.
Oh, for sure. You just think, well, the problem is too big.
Exactly. You look at those thousands of unfunded students and think it's impossible to solve.
Yeah.
But what the source material shows us isn't a story of defeat. It's a blueprint of a highly targeted ecosystem designed to bridge that exact gap, taking raw ambition and giving it actual usable skills.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand the human stories, we first have to look at the structural growth. We need to look at the architecture of the impact LCA achieved in 2025. What does the financial and enrollment data actually tell us about their scale?
Well, the financial milestones for 2025 are honestly a masterclass in resource management. Let's start with the top-line revenue. Their total revenue nearly doubled from the previous year, hitting 11.14 million naira.
And just to put that in perspective for our global audience, depending on currency fluctuations in 2025, we're talking about roughly the equivalent of maybe 7 to 10,000 US dollars total.
Yeah, for an entire year of operation.
Wait, really? That is an incredibly tight budget to run a comprehensive organization. I mean, I assumed we were talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars to run international summits and boot camps.
I know, that's the secret here. And what is vital to note is that 77% of that revenue came directly from program and general donations.
So just everyday people contributing.
Exactly. But, raising money is only half the equation. The real test of an organization's DNA is how they spend it. In 2025, LCA's expenses were managed at 11.07 million naira. And this is the number that really stands out. 87% of those expenditures went directly into program delivery.
So they kept their operating and administrative costs at just 13%. That is almost unheard of. Usually you see nonprofits where a massive chunk of your donation gets swallowed up by administrative overhead or like office leases or executive salaries.
Yeah, they're running incredibly lean. That 87% direct-to-program ratio means that when a naira or a dollar comes in, it is quite literally going straight to the ground, straight into the hands and minds of the students.
Wow.
And that financial discipline translates directly to their reach. They crossed a major milestone this year, hitting 3,448 cumulative enrollments since their inception. That represents a 26% growth in just a single year.
Hold on, I want to challenge that for a second. A 26% jump in program enrollments in a single year is massive. Is that just the result of a really slick social media campaign?
What do you mean?
Well, because it's easy to boost your numbers if you throw enough money at Facebook ads, right? Are they just getting better at marketing, or is there something else actually driving this?
This raises an important question, but the answer brings us right back to your opening hook. The 0.2% scholarship acceptance rate proves this is not just clever marketing. You simply do not get almost 4,500 applications for 9 scholarship spots because of a catchy Instagram reel.
Right, that's fair.
That number is an undeniable, stark reflection of unmet need. There's a profound structural hunger for what they're offering.
Because there's a real person behind every one of those numbers, right? Someone who is literally trying to figure out how to keep the lights on while studying.
Right. And the report highlights a testimonial from one of those 9 scholarship recipients that makes this incredibly tangible. Before receiving the LCA scholarship in 2025, this student was struggling to balance their schoolwork with, strenuous side jobs just to cover basic academic expenses.
Which has to be exhausting.
Oh, completely. They found out about the scholarship on a WhatsApp group and took a shot. Earning that scholarship wasn't just a financial transaction. The student explicitly noted that it removed the constant grinding pressure of financial stress.
Which frees up cognitive bandwidth. If you aren't worried about how you're going to pay for your textbooks or your next meal, you can actually focus on your coursework. It changes your entire neurological state from survival mode to learning mode.
It's immediate, life-altering intervention. But as you pointed out earlier, it forces us to look at a very tough reality. They help those 9 students, but what about the other 4,463 applicants?
Yeah, funding is clearly scarce. So how does an organization like LCA support the other 99.8% of young people who are knocking on their door?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. You can't just hand out 9 checks, pat yourself on the back, and ignore the thousands of kids still standing in line.
Right, and they don't do that, do they?
No, they don't. This is where the report shifts from direct financial aid to what they call the LCA ecosystem. Because they know they don't have the capital to fund everyone, they have built this robust framework of skills, mentorship, and mindset programs designed to support students regardless of whether they receive a direct check.
So if they can't give them money, they give them the infrastructure to go get the money or to build a career without it.
Yes, exactly. Let's look at the mechanics of these programs. Take their Scholarship Summit. This is a virtual conference specifically designed to teach young people exactly how to secure funding, both locally and internationally.
And did that grow this year too?
Huge growth. They saw a 57% increase in attendance this year, reaching 275 participants. And they aren't just giving generic advice either. They're bringing in serious heavy hitters. They had Dr. Eric Morgiossu, an assistant professor at MIT, delivering a keynote.
From MIT to a virtual summit accessible to a teenager in Nigeria, that is bridging a massive gap in access. But what are they actually teaching them? Is it just, motivational speaking?
It's highly tactical. They are teaching these students the mechanics of applying for international grants, how to write compelling personal statements, how to navigate complex university bureaucracies.
So really demystifying the whole process.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop with the summit. Their Career and Stewardship Bootcamp, the CAS Bootcamp, more than doubled its attendance, jumping from 101 participants in 2024 to 226 in 2025.
I have to admit, whenever I hear the word bootcamp or summit, I get a little skeptical.
Why is that?
Well, a lot of organizations throw those terms around, and sometimes it's just 2 days of someone yelling into a microphone about unleashing your potential. And by Monday morning, the energy is gone, and the students' actual circumstances haven't changed. What makes LCA's approach actually stick?
What's fascinating here is the focus on measurable execution rather than just temporary emotional highs. Let's look at the Liberty Mentorship Hub, which matched 32 mentees with mentors across 17 Nigerian states and internationally.
Okay, that's a pretty wide reach.
It is, and the data shows that 67% of the mentees achieved over 75% of the career goals they set at the very start of the program.
Okay, so there's a built-in accountability mechanism. It's not just a weekend retreat. It's setting key performance indicators for your own life and having an adult check-in to make sure you're hitting them.
Exactly. And the direct testimonials from the CAS Bootcamp illustrate the depth of this change. You have Richard Chinkdu, our participant, who noted that the bootcamp taught him to see challenges and failures not as roadblocks, but as data points.
Which completely reframes your approach to problem solving.
Right. Then you have Sakina Are, who described the experience as a fundamental shift in her leadership mindset. She came out bolder, wiser, and ready to take action.
So they are systematically changing how these young people process adversity. If you teach a kid that a rejection letter isn't the end of their story, but just a signal to adjust their strategy, you've essentially rewired their perspective on their own potential.
And that rewiring is permanent. Once you learn how to navigate a system, you don't unlearn it.
But this brings us to a really interesting logistical puzzle. You cannot run a rapidly expanding global ecosystem, double your boot camp size, match mentors across 17 states, bring in MIT professors, and manage thousands of applications, all while keeping your administrative costs at an incredibly low 13%.
Sounds impossible.
Right. It's like having a massive high-performance engine but almost no gas money. How are they physically doing the heavy lifting?
You're touching on the real secret weapon of LCA. The human capital required to sustain that level of programmatic efficiency is immense. And that capital comes from their volunteers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in 2025, their volunteer and staff numbers grew by 39.4%. They now have a combined team of 92 individuals, and the geographic spread is wild. This team spans 6 countries across 3 continents: Africa, Europe, and North America.
So they are managing this highly efficient operation globally, primarily through volunteer effort, and I imagine their digital footprint reflects that global reach too.
It does. Their combined social following grew to 2,364. Their unique paid visits spiked by 44,120. And their engagement rate hit 311.8%.
That's incredible engagement for a nonprofit.
It is. And to keep the energy going, they also created CAS Nation, a dedicated ongoing community to keep the momentum of the boot camp alive all year round.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. Looking at the structure, the boot camp, the mentorship, the global volunteer team, they aren't just creating alumni who graduate, say thank you, and disappear into the workforce.
No, not at all.
They are building a self-sustaining talent engine. It's a literal pay-it-forward loop.
It really is. The people who come through the program seeking help often become the infrastructure that helps the next wave. The report provides a perfect case study of this with Oluwadamvola Ogunleye.
I read her section in the report, and what struck me wasn't just that she got a mentor, it was the psychological shift she went through. She started out feeling quite lost, right?
She did. She was searching for direction like so many young people are. She joined the Mentorship Hub and was paired with a mentor named Mr. Kabenga.
And how did that go?
Well, through his consistency, she didn't just regain her confidence, she started actually executing on her goals.
But the fascinating part is what she did after she found her footing. She didn't have the financial capital to donate back to the academy, but she realized she had human capital.
Exactly. She returned to LCA not as a mentee, but as a volunteer. She took on the role of social media manager.
That is so cool.
Yeah, she realized that by managing their digital presence, she could help tell the stories of LCA so other young people could find their way, just like she did.
That is the ultimate proof of concept right there. You come in seeking guidance, and you leave providing it. It shows that the true value of LCA isn't just those 9 scholarships. It's the compounding interest of human potential.
Absolutely.
They are equipping kids to become change agents, who then return to equip others. It's a completely decentralized network of support.
It's a brilliant model, but it also brings us to the operational ceiling.
Right, because an engine can only run so fast on a specific amount of fuel. With a community this passionate, the human capital is clearly thriving. The volunteers are engaged, the students are transforming. But to turn 9 scholarships into 90, or to scale these boot camps so that the 0.2% acceptance rate actually starts to climb, they need structural and financial resources.
Exactly. The machinery is built, the loop is established, and it is highly efficient. But to process more raw potential, they need more capacity.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? We often look at massive systemic issues like educational inequity or youth unemployment, and it's very easy to freeze.
Yeah, paralysis by analysis.
You think, I'm just one person, what can I actually do? Or if you do want to donate, you worry your money is going to get lost in bureaucratic red tape. What this annual report shows is complete transparency and profound efficiency.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, supporting an organization like LCA is highly accessible, whether you're a corporation looking to invest or an individual looking to give back.
Let's talk about the corporate side first.
Sure. On the corporate side, the report highlights some major milestones for 2025. MailerLite, which is a major digital marketing platform, awarded LCA a 2-year advanced plan grant valued at $3,000 specifically for nonprofit communication.
And people might wonder why an email platform matters for an educational nonprofit. But if you have 400 applicants and a massive alumni network, you can't manage that communication manually.
Exactly.
That kind of digital infrastructure is exactly what allows them to hit a 311% engagement rate without hiring a massive administrative team.
It scales their voice automatically. They also secured strategic in-kind product support from major brands like 9PSB, Pineview Solutions, and Golden Penny Foods, which is under Flour Mills of Nigeria. These brands provided direct support for their boot camp.
Which tells me that the corporate sector is seeing the return on investment here. They realize that LCA is building a pipeline of capable, resilient talent, and they want to associate their brands with that. But you don't have to be a major corporation to move the needle here, do you?
Not at all. Remember that 77% of their revenue comes from direct individual donations,
Yeah.
everyday people.
Right.
And because their ecosystem is so fiercely disciplined, with that 87% direct-to-program ratio, every dollar or naira you give translates almost entirely into direct action. And if you are in a position where you want to give your time rather than your money, remember that their volunteer base spans 3 continents.
You could be sitting at a coffee shop in London, or an office in Chicago, or an apartment in Nairobi, and you can actively mentor a student who is ready to change their trajectory. You don't have to be on the ground in Nigeria to be part of that 39% volunteer growth.
Exactly. The digital framework is there, waiting for people to plug into it.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the 2025 annual report, what we're really looking at is an organization that has cracked the code on efficient transformation. Liberty Career Academy is taking raw, eager potential and giving it the tactical skills and the mindset to succeed.
And they're doing it through a highly efficient, community-driven loop where the alumni become the engine.
Yeah. They've proven that with immense discipline and a focus on mindset as much as funding, you can create a sustainable model for youth empowerment that actually works.
And the source material lays out exactly how you can step into this story today.
Yes, it does. If you want to provide financial fuel to this incredibly lean machine, you can donate directly via their specific link, bit.ly/DonatelCA. If you want to offer your time, your mentorship, or your professional skills, you can register to volunteer right on their website at elcaglobal.org.
If you're listening to this representing a brand or corporation and you want to explore partnerships or sponsorships, you can email them directly at hello@elcaglobal.org. The doors to this ecosystem are wide open.
It leaves us with a fascinating dynamic to consider. We spent a lot of time today talking about how LCA is bridging the gap for students who are essentially locked out of traditional, expensive educational pathways.
Right. Traditional education systems often take decades to update their curriculums. They move slowly.
Very slowly.
But what we see here is an agile, grassroots, community-led network that adapts instantly to what young people need right now.
It makes you wonder about the future of global talent. If traditional institutions continue to be slow and prohibitively expensive, while localized ecosystems like LCA are rapidly turning out highly motivated, practically skilled, and deeply resilient young professionals, what happens in 10 or 20 years?
It raises the question, will the next generation of global innovators and leaders come from the traditional elite institutions we've always looked to, or will they emerge from these decentralized, fiercely efficient mentorship hubs run on WhatsApp, Zoom, and community grit?
It's entirely possible that the traditional models are about to be outperformed by the very students they failed to fund. And that is something definitely worth keeping an eye on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.